It's 9:50.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Civic Forum on Whispers 87.7 FM. My name is Uche Nogo. Thank you so much for being there. Today, we are talking about something that affects all of us. We're discussing the case that raises fundamental questions about the rule of law, institutional powers, independence, and electoral credibility. Just days before the Osun governorship election, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, obtained an order freezing the state statutory allocation account as part of a financial transaction. Governor Ademola Adeleke has responded by filing a 2 billion lawsuit against the EFCC, arguing that the commission acted unlawfully and violated the state's constitutional financial autonomy. In a dramatic twist, President Bola Tinubu has directed the EFCC to return to court and vacate the freezing order, saying that although the commission has the constitutional responsibility to fight corruption, the timing of the action could create the impression that federal institutions are influencing an election. So this controversy, we have in the studio to help us unpack this conversation. I have joining me a legal practitioner. He is Ota JC. Welcome to the Civic Forum.
No, Jisa Otta.
JC Ota.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the order.
It's with an A.
With an A.
Yeah, not E.
Okay, can you call that again?
Jisa Otta.
JSA.
Yes.
Okay, JSA order.
Otta.
Ota.
Yes.
Ota.
OTAH.
Okay. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Civic Forum.
Thank you very much.
So for Nigerians who may not understand the legal issues, what exactly is this case about?
Well, it's a matter between Osun State and the EFCC. The EFCC just came in and decided to freeze their accounts. And there have been outstanding issues before. They have claimed that there are some fraudulent activity going on. In fact, there are about 2 issues. One of them has to do with the fact that there have been ghost workers who have been claiming money and then claiming, staff salaries. Almost 6,000 staff, and one person has been collecting that money. So they've been investigating that. It's not just today. And then there's the main issue really is that there's another complaint which has not really been dealt with, and the complaint was made by APC apparatchiks who decided to raise that complaint. This is a PDP government apparently. So what has actually happened is that they decided to, that was on the 5th of August, the EFCC got a freezing order. They would have gotten it, I was going to say ex parte. What I mean is they got it without notifying the Washington State government, and they got a freezing order. The issue is that the timing of the freezing order, just over a week before the next elections, has turned it from just being an issue of EFCC carrying out its usual, if you like, oversight functions publicly, which they are empowered to do, and as to whether it might actually be a move by the sitting government, which is the APC, to try to scupper or to hinder the current government, which is the PDP government. And that is why there is so much consternation, because it's not the first time that the EFCC has frozen state salaries. I mean, states.
Did you say PDP government?
It is. Well, it's not an APC government, is what I mean.
Okay.
And my understanding was that Adeleke was with PDP
at the time.
At the time, where you see, this is the trouble. You see, at the time he got in.
He's in accord.
Yes, well, he's changed now. But at the time, I'm referring to the government that came in initially.
Okay.
Well, let me not speak about the politicians, but they tend to change parties not based on ideology but on interest. So today he's in Accord, tomorrow he's in Labour, next thing is PDP.
They're allowed legally to do that.
Well, you see, that is going to be a whole new ball game, because my own attitude towards it is, if you get a mandate based on a party vehicle according to the constitution, and you choose to leave that vehicle because out of convenience for your own personal interests, for your own personal reasons, then you should resign. You should not be allowed to hold that position because you only obtained it based on the political vehicle you used. The people who voted, I'm presuming that they voted, the people who voted because you were in that particular vehicle. It's a Mercedes. Then all of a sudden you choose a Volkswagen or whatever it is. They are not happy. That is not democracy in action. That is actually subverting democracy. And so no matter how it is twisted or spun, to me, you are supposed to just resign. The vehicle will get somebody else to fill in that post. And that's democracy. Yeah, that's democracy in proper practice, where the will of the people is always superior and is always maintained. What's in our system, our brand of democracy is personalized. It's about building strong personalities rather than strong institutions, and the people that suffer are the electorate.
Okay, let's come back to this conversation now. President Tinubu says he respects the independence of the EFCC board, directed the commission to return to court and vacate the freezing order. So legally speaking, can the president issue such a directive?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
The EFCC have the power. They are empowered under the EFCC Act. Under Section 34 of the EFCC Act, they're entitled to carry out these functions, but there are conditions. They have to satisfy certain conditions. They have to be able to convince the courts that there is a real likelihood of corruption being carried out. And
what about the president? The issue, the directive he issued.
Well, it's close to an election. It's not really the done thing, but you have to understand the president is the ultimate head of the EFCC. He heads all the organizations under the aegis of the presidency. So he can intervene where he feels it's an emergency. Depending on him, it's not kosher, but the point is, if he feels, like he said, it's embarrassing, it's close to the elections, it may give the wrong impression, then he could step in. But it's not what I would it's not the norm, and it's not proper for the presidency to be making ad hoc decisions. My own advice would be that they should have a system that they follow. If certain things are triggered, then the presidency will act automatically so that everybody is aware. It's not just a case of the president just waking up one day and then deciding. He's supposed to leave the EFCC to carry out their job because they are independent. Well, that is how they are couched to be. That is the quality of the essence of the nature of the EFCC. You are taking me down a rabbit hole.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on then. So how should Nigerians interpret the president's statement that he was embarrassed not by investigation itself, but by its timing?
Well, they should take it that this is what he's supposed to do in the circumstances. They should give the presidency. It's better that he steps in now and takes a decision that is in the best interest of everybody. It's a case of balancing convenience. Is it better for him to keep quiet and allow this to go on, and then everybody gets the firm idea? Because that is exactly what most people thought.
Does timing matter as much as legality?
Of course. You can't just step in, because you see, it's not a case of legality alone. It's the legitimacy. Why are you coming up now? Why couldn't you wait until, for example, after the elections? In fact, that is why it's become an issue. Because yes, you have a right to carry out your functions, you have a right to carry out whatever it is you are supposed to be doing, but the bottom line is, why now? It takes away the legitimacy of the action. It looks as if you are acting for the states, for example, which is what President Tinubu is actually trying to resolve.
With the Osun governorship election just a few days away, could this controversy influence public perception of the election credibility?
Yes, of course. If he doesn't take any step, if it is not removed and he loses, of course they are going to say it was because of the shenanigans of the EFCC. It's a fine balancing act. And I'm not sure why the EFCC acted at this time. I'm sure they were just doing their job, because the EFCC acting and any political calendar should not mix at all. They don't mesh. Bottom line is why, but they will say why now. The issue again is the constitutionality of it. The action of EFCC now has raised issues. It's supposed to be a corruption investigation, but now it is now an issue of constitutionality, because Section 162 protects the finances of the state. If you close down an account or you block an account because you are doing an investigation, so you have it, whatever, you removed it. I mean, you've had it suspended. They can't do anything with it. What happens to salaries? What happens to pensioners? What happens to people who are legitimately supposed to be receiving funding from the state that has nothing to do with an investigation of corruption? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So so the courts will now have to interpret on which one has more weight, whether it's protecting the constitutional rights of a state government under Section 162, or the rights of the EFCC to act under under its own statutory body, because it has the powers. It is correct that it should be able to investigate. So there's a lacuna. There are some fine lines.
So if the court eventually rules that the EFCC acted outside its powers, what implications could that have for future investigations involving state governments?
Well, it's simple, really. The bottom line will be that they have to, they will know that they are now limited. You can't just act. You have to show the burden of proof will be increased, and the courts will have to put in guidelines that they must follow. There has to be a threshold that will give them the power to investigate. I think that is one of the issues that the courts will have to decide. And of course, it would mean that, but you see, the flip side is that those who are involved in corruption, corrupt activities, corruption, etc., would feel relieved. They've gotten, a get out of jail card. They can do things. They can increase, because what they would simply do is they would be looking at the threshold that has been given and try to just go beneath that threshold and continue with it. So it's a blow against the fight against corruption, but at the same time, you have to protect our constitutional rights. In fact, it's the lack of safeguarding our constitutional rights that has led to so many of the issues we have today.
So Governor Adeleke is seeking 2 billion naira in damages. Beyond compensation, what legal precedents could this lawsuit establish?
Yeah, well, the bottom line is it's not really a matter of the 2 billion. It will be a matter of safeguarding, which is even more important, the constitutional rights of the state government. It would also be an opportunity to, it's actually an opportunity, because you have the issue of the politics, you have the issue of the constitution, you have the issue of the corruption activity that has actually caused this whole thing to start in the first place, right? So it would simply be a case of, and for the sake of other state governments, because you have to understand that whatever happens here today, whatever decision is taken, will not only affect Osun State, it will affect all the other states in the federation, and it's something that will obviously be a locus classicus case, which decisions would affect everything that comes about when it comes to the issue of public agencies investigating state governments, the constitutional powers they have, and all the bits, all the issues that will be separated in between.
So you think that Nigeria should consider clearer legislations defining the limits of federal anti-corruption agencies?
Well, yes, definitely. There has to be clarity, because now this has thrown up this issue. There shouldn't be a situation where the country is held to ransom by an electoral diary because an election is coming up, so therefore we should not be able to investigate you. Meanwhile, that is the best time to investigate. That should never happen. So they have to put in certain safeguards that will ensure that elections, investigations, is taken away from the politics and just made simply a job that they are carrying out.
So finally, what should Nigerians watch out for as this matter moves through the courts?
Well, they should expect, in fact, the way I would look at it is, they should expect to see first of all, what EFCC is going to say to remove, you know, the president has sent the EFCC back to remove the freezing order.
Yes.
So what are they going to, what are the reasons they're going to give to the court for the court to remove the freezing order? That's going to be very important. And then when this matter eventually goes to court, what will the court decide? How is it going to divide the two? What are the options that will come up from there that it will give, that will now tell us what the EFCC's powers are in terms of expressing them compared to what the state governments are allowed to do? Then number three, we want to see, because there has to be a dichotomy. Even if you want to freeze the account of a state government, there should be a break between those accounts that are, for example, for payment of salaries. You cannot make the people suffer because a politician may have misbehaved. It's none of the business of the people, the innocent citizens of the country, on whose mandates all these politicians stand. You know, it's time for the citizen to be protected. So I expect that any court decisions, they should look out for that to see where we stand. So if they are going to close accounts, there has to be a division, and there have to be very clear safeguards as to how they're going to do that. So they need to look out for those things.
Thank you so much for your insights on these issues.
Pleasure is mine.
And we'll keep our eyes on this conversation.
Yeah, it's going to run and run for some time. Maybe we may need to revisit it again.
I'm sure. I'm very sure about that. Ota.
Just call me Jisa.
Jisa.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us in the Civic Forum. We'll be back tomorrow with a topical conversation. My name is Uche Nogo. Have a great day.